And a good Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We're so grateful to have you on this Tuesday night, the 9th day of December, 2025. It is always a pleasure, and we're back with you. We were gone last week. We had a spiritual week. We really had a big spiritual week. Camp meeting all week, Monday through Friday. We were on our Faith Show and this network. And we just took a break from the news and took a break last night, but we're back on tonight. We should be back here maybe Friday night late. I don't know. We'll see about that. Next week it'll be back to normal, and we'll probably be back to normal throughout the rest of the month of December, and then we leave for Israel in January. And so we'll see you. It's going to be, and we warned you at the beginning of the month there'd be some breaks with the holiday and Christmas, but we're grateful to be back tonight with you, and probably back Friday will be the next show here. We'll have a late night Friday show with you on the news side, at least. We'll be on the face side every day. It's always good to see my dear buddy James Akers. Wouldn't think of anybody better to have back with us as we get back on this Tuesday night. We've got so much to talk about. Now, me and him's going to discuss a few things. We're going to go over some news stories, and we are going to take your questions at the end tonight and your comments. So just know we've not forgotten about you, and got a lot to talk about. Buddy, good to see you tonight. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good December, getting up to the holiday season. Good to see you tonight. How you been, my friend?
I've been doing good, Chris. Everything's going well, and with family and friends, and it's a special time of year. We're looking forward to this Christmas. How about you? Everything going well?
Well, I'm doing good. I've got the beard thing going. People think I'm trying to be Santa when actually it's just me being lazy. I don't feel like shaving. I've been tired. I hadn't been worth shooting since last week. I wore myself out pretty good. But with my gray hair, I saw a guy today. I was in a store and he literally had a red shirt on. He had a beard. He had gray hair, and I came so close. These days, you just got to be careful how you say something to folks, how they take it. But I wanted to walk up to him. We were in a Christmas store, and I said, "You keep wearing and looking like this, buddy. They're going to hire you as Santa for the Knoxville area." And but I don't know if he would have taken too kindly to that. But anyway, I'm doing well, buddy. And it is that time of the year, James. I'm glad you brought that up. I know a lot of people get so crazy about Christmas, and it's both ends. You've got some of the people don't want to celebrate it because they're convinced it's of the devil and everything else, which is ludicrous. And then you've got another half that they don't grasp the real meaning of it, and it is Christ. It's always been Christ. And we can either, and I told the I don't know if it was the Bible students this week. Maybe it was Bible students. Maybe it was Sunday morning, Sunday night. I don't know. But, we're to be lights. We're to be light of the world. And we can either be a light this Christmas and show kindness and generosity and give and be the people of God that we've really been ordained to be, or we can act like a bunch of Scrooges and a bunch of fuddy-duddies and, sit at home and act like Jehovah's Witness. I mean, that's all I know to say. I just offended all the Jehovah's Witnesses out there. But, if you want to be a Jehovah's Witness, be a Jehovah's Witness. Don't celebrate Christmas. But don't come around here because we Christmas folks here. And
that's right.
That's where I feel about it.
Chris, the special thing about it is that we get lost in the gifts and all that stuff, but the real meaning is that Jesus Christ, God gave his best gift for us and for each and every person,
yes.
Regardless of color, of national identity, of gender, that there was one sacrifice for all time for each and every person if they accept the perfect sacrifice of Christ, and that is so special this time of year.
Oh, without a doubt, buddy, and that's what it's always been about. And it's not. There's another group of the church that want to argue and debate whether he came on Christmas Day or not. And I've always said this, and James, we argue about days. The fact is he came, and that's what we need to be celebrating. We choose December the 25th. We've got a dear friend, Bill Federer, and we hope to get Bill back on. If we can't get Bill on live, we've got an interview we did with him last year, a couple of years ago. He's done it about 2 or 3 times on the show over the 7 years we've been on the air. And, his show is titled, Yes, Virginia, There's a Santa Claus, and he goes into the historical part about there was a man named St. Nicholas. And then he gives one of the greatest defenses of the Lord's birth being December the 25th, I think I've ever heard. But, it's to me, it's not a debate. The fact is he came, and you just stated it beautifully. Without him coming the way he did, James, we'd all be lost tonight. I mean, we wouldn't have salvation, and me and you could just pack the show in and, head to the hills, man, because we'd be eternally lost. And I thank God that he did come, and thank God he came the way he did, and I'm going to celebrate it, and I'm going to do everything I can to show his love and show his grace this Christmas, and, be a light. To be a light to the world and to show the world that we honor him. And, that's how I feel. And I'm just like a kid this time of the year. I get it from my mom. My mom was like this, and she instilled it in us to, honor the Lord at Christmas, but be happy and be joyous and be grateful for giving, be grateful for receiving. It's more blessed to give than to receive. But, as a grandfather now, it does my heart no deeper, greater good than Grandpa to be broke December the 26th and watch those grandkids open those presents under the tree. There's no greater joy than you get when you have a grandfather and your grandfather and grandma now and see the grandkids enjoy it, and that's just the way it is. All righty. We could talk about that all night, but I know we got some other serious stuff. I want to get your take on a couple of things tonight, man. We've not been on for a week, and I watched some of the. I didn't really watch a lot of news, but I just picked up a few tidbits here and there. I do want to talk to you first of all tonight. I know a lot of people may or may not know this, but Sunday, December the 7th, was actually the 84th anniversary of the day that will live in infamy, and that was Pearl Harbor, and that's when the Japanese attacked Hawaii. And nearly 3,000 soldiers, men, women, kids, all, it was a brutal attack by the Japanese. It brought America into a war that Franklin Delano Roosevelt had been warning that we were headed for. And you had a lot of liberal elites in D.C. that they didn't want us to go fight Hitler. And I would argue some of that was rooted in anti-Semitism, and I'll leave that alone for later. But the Japanese woke a sleeping giant on that day, and it's ironic it was on a Sunday. It was actually on a Sunday in 1941 when all this happened, and there were so many warning signs that this was coming, and they were ignored by Washington. And I just wanted to get your take on that, because I don't think that 84 years later we have come any further down the road to understand our enemies are still out there. And we had I look at 9/11, and that was our Pearl Harbor for this generation. I wasn't alive in 41, contrary to rumor. I was not alive in 41. I wasn't alive when Abraham Lincoln started the Civil War, contrary to rumor. Anyway, but there was a lot of folks that were alive on September the 11th, 2001, including myself. And that was our Pearl Harbor. And, it's sad to me that even the 9/11 incident, some 24 years later, going on 25, James, that the country's forgotten it. And, we don't need to forget the lessons of Pearl Harbor, because the Japanese did this with such subtlety, and they tried their best to take America out of this conflict in Europe, and all it did was bring us into it, and the rest is history. And they didn't. I understand from the history books, Hitler was so mad when this happened because he knew the second America got into this war, Germany was toast.
Yeah. As a historian, studying Pearl Harbor is one of the really fascinating stories. And Japan had done exactly the same thing earlier in the century to Russia. They had to destroy pretty much their entire fleet at Port Arthur, and the blueprint for Pearl Harbor was actually laid, like 40 years, 35 years previously. But I wonder, Chris, as I think about Pearl Harbor, what would happen today if there was on a Sunday morning when the military traditionally is home, and there's a God forbid there's a sneak attack on major installations in the United States. I wonder if we would rally to the defense of this country like the greatest generation did. I really have my doubts that would happen.
But that's such a good question and a good insight. And I think we've all have sort of toyed with that idea in our head. I wonder what kind of response if that kind of event. And we can look at 9/11 even, James. I mean, the country at that point was so divided. I remember vividly the nation right after Bush Jr. had got elected. There was such bitterness over that election. There was such bitterness among the Dems because they felt like Gore had won that, and the Supreme Court stepped in, and there was hatefulness toward Christians during that time. I remember the temperature, on talk shows, and the temperature in the media was just mocking faith. You had the Bush White House trying to push Israel into a land for peace deal. Very similar to what you see right now. I mean, it's almost identical in many ways. And, we stayed united about a week, and then we were right back at fighting. What's changed in 25 years is now you've got such a liberal swing and you've got such a Muslim takeover in America that I think that these people that hate America, and part of our title tonight is Destroyers of America. James, you've got people that want to see the downfall of the United States. They're not an army marching at us from the borders of other countries, brother. They're coming to us from within our halls of Congress. And they're coming in from the halls of the media and the halls of mayor's offices and governor's offices. And I'm going to tell you something. I do not doubt that if this thing keeps going the way it's going, that at some point this country is going to put a Muslim in that White House, and God help us all. I mean, God help us all. But I think you're right. I don't think that this generation understands sacrifice, and I do not think I don't think that if we had an attack like that the country would have the will to fight the enemy that did it. I think the country would capitulate to that enemy, at least some. Most of it would. There would be an element that would not. But I think you're right on target with this, bro. Right on target.
I think in 1941 there was, there were political divisions in the country, but there was a unity of belief in what this country stood for.
Correct.
And all of these many years later, and you're absolutely right. 9/11, everybody became the most religious they've ever been, and the most nationalistic they've ever been for about a week, and then it just all started to come apart because there is just a total absence and of unity in the country, and there's a huge difference between even 20 years ago.
Very true.
And 9/11, there's a huge technology difference, and basically 9/11, you didn't have the power of the social media. You didn't have these elites which are exercising enormous power behind the scenes, and so even then we are as unified in this country as we have ever been in history, much more so. And with each passing year, it seems to get worse.
It is getting worse, and I think you hit on about the elites, and they are working behind the scenes. We've had a shift tonight. People may not have heard the news, but Miami has elected their first Democrat mayor since 1997. You think about that city down there, James, and I mean, that is a hotbed of illegal immigration. It's a miracle if you think about it, that Miami, of all places, Miami, Florida, has had Republican mayors for nearly 30 years. And now tonight, that changes as we get into 2026. They've elected a female, and she becomes the first, not just, well, I think they've had a couple of female mayors, but they've been Republican. But she won this special runoff tonight. And I think it's just changing in the wind, man. And I tell you, it's very troubling. It's chilling to know that we've got this enemy within. And, you know, I got to ask you a question about this. Have you been sort of noticing that the Somali thing, the Somalians have all of a sudden come into the news, that we've got this Somali takeover of Minnesota and other states? And it's like, you know, we've got the Muslims already from the Middle East, the Palestinian force. Now we've got a Somalian uprising, and it's sort of bringing Ilhan Omar into the focus of things. And it you know, we already knew that she was in the halls of Congress, and you know, she's never loved America. It's such hypocritical to hear her talk about our rights. And I mean, it really offends me when I hear this woman talk about that she's up there defending the rights of the American people when she's not even an American herself. She has no idea what that means. She has no idea of the sacrifices of Pearl Harbor. She has no ideas of every ounce of blood that was spilled on this country's soil for freedom. She has no clue as to what she's talking about, and it's an insult to every soldier that died in these wars since Pearl Harbor, since 9/11, going back to the Revolutionary War. It really makes me upset. And I know it may sound like a soapbox tonight, but buddy, this is a threat, and I'm just curious how dangerous. This is pretty dangerous stuff that people need to be aware of tonight. Bro, we're being invaded from within. We're being invaded from within right now.
There are, you know, there's a coalescing of two or three different sort of factors. One that you mentioned, the other is a pure demographic factor that through immigration and through population growth within the Muslim cohort, there are predictions that 20 years from now there will be a Muslim mayor in every major metropolitan city in this country. And when you start to factor in, you're already seeing it, the Muslim communities in Minnesota and Michigan and elsewhere are starting to push for Sharia law as the law that can be the deciding law in their communities, and these things are directly contrary to the historical constitutional basis of law in this country, and we are fast approaching. It's not going to matter for you or for me these types of trends. But, you know, I continue to think I've got 7 grandchildren, and I'm trying to, sometimes I almost weep for the situation that we are leaving for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. They will not know the quality of life that we have because we have several Congresses in a row now that refuse to abide by any sort of budget.
Correct.
You know, if I, as the head of a household, ran my budget the way the government runs their budget, I would be in jail. And so we are leaving our grandkids a fiscal hole they will never dig out of. There's going to be a spiritual hole that only the mercy of God and a special elect that he's going to empower at the end of time will be able to cope with the changes that are coming. All you have to do is go to the movies or go on social media to just see that there's a complete and steady deterioration of the cultural values. I mean, even like a sense of just common sense decorum or language. I mean, if you go out on the streets, you hear groups of young girls, using language that would have made sailors blush 10 years ago.
It's the truth. No, it's the truth.
It's just, it's incredible, and we are seeing the steady deterioration of what made America great. I know there are a lot of people out there, especially in certain age cohorts that are just, excuse my French, but are just saying, you guys are just a bunch of old farts, complaining and whining about a world that used to be and a country that used to be. But I think it's much more than that. We are losing and watching it slip through our fingers, all of those things that made this country great.
Couldn't agree more, buddy. I couldn't agree more. Let me ask you this, and I'm going to move on to something else real quick with you. How much in danger are the Christians? I know we got a lot of Christians that watch this show. We got a lot of people of faith that watch this show. We have some that are not believers, but I think for the most part, most that listen to the McFiles network are. They at least have a modicum of faith. I'll leave it at that. They at least have some kind of moral clarity to them, to the sense they understand what we're talking about here tonight. But I'm talking about the danger to our Christian faith, not just our conservative values. Look, being conservative, being Christian are two different things. You can't be I put it like this: you can be conservative and not know the Lord, but you can't be a Christian, know the Lord, and not have moral, clear, conservative values. You just can't do it, because there are, unless you're just professing faith and not possessing it. But how much in danger are we of coming under this umbrella of Sharia? Because, James, they are. It seems to me that the most dangerous aspect of Islam has always been that Islam does not want to coexist. And this is what the greatest lie has been, and it's the greatest danger, because the country, I'm afraid, America, has bought into this. Many have bought into this lie of America, that Islam and us can coexist, that if we'll leave them be, all they want to do is live peaceful lives here in the country. All they want to do is enjoy America, enjoy the freedoms we have that they don't have in their third world something holes overseas. And if we'll just sit back and leave them be, they won't mess with us. That's the biggest dangerous lie that we could ever believe in this country, because Islam does not adhere to that. Islam itself means submission, and you either submit to its rule of Sharia law or you're destroyed. And there is no place in its holy book that you can't even find the word love in the book. There is no coexistence with Islam. There is no existence with Somalia. There's no coexistence with Palestine. There's no coexistence. The Jews are finding this out. Israel's finding this out. They tried to coexist with the Palestinians since they've been reformed as a nation, nearly 80 years themselves. And they're finding out, like we're about to find out here in the West, that you cannot shake hands with the devil. But sometimes if you keep messing around with the devil, James, as I heard something said the other day, you're going to bring the devil home with you. And we've literally brought the devil home to America. And he's about to call due what he has put forth in this nation, and many have bought. And the ticket's about to come due. And it's not going to be a pretty price that we're going to pay.
I think you only have to. I do a bit of travel in Europe, And you only have to go to, I used to teach at the college level the Renaissance and the Reformation eras. And if you travel in Europe today, all of those great, wonderful cathedrals, basically everyone you visit is absolutely empty. And there is no spiritual life whatsoever. And what is happening in England right now, what is happening in France right now, in Germany, and in our neighbor to the north,
Canada.
I know. What pressures are coming on the Christian communities there would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. And so, I mean, there are some times when I'm sort of in this mood and I'm talking to God and He'll just say, I see all of this and I have a remedy for all of this. I mean, things were absolutely hopeless before Jesus Christ came, right? And so there is going to be a remnant, that God always has a remnant. And even as things start to just spiral downward in this country, which I think is the natural social progression that we can start to see now, that God is going to call out a remnant, especially of young people that are going to be specially equipped. And as darkness grows, there is going to be, nobody's going to be able to sit on the fence anymore, have a half a foot in the world and half a foot in faith and belief in Jesus Christ. We are approaching the time when you're going to have to make a decision, right, and you're going to have to make a stand. And even I just heard a person talk about going to China, where in China now, in all the churches, you have to have a picture of President Xi, and in most cases it has to be bigger than any picture of Jesus Christ in a church. But what God is doing in the underground church in China, and there are some projections that by 2050, the very largest Christian population in the world will be in China. And it's simply because God finds a way, and He finds a remnant, and governments, social pressures, we've seen all of this before. And God has seen all of it before. And I had a great conversation. A fellow came to fix our furnace, and we eventually got around to talking about the Lord. And he says, when I think about things, the end of times, because I just wrote a missive about the end of times. Mm-hmm. That's on my website. JamesAkers.com. I invite everybody to go read it. And he said, when I think of it, what's going on in heaven is that Jesus is approaching the Father and saying, let me go. Look what's going on down there. Let me go. Let me go down there and set things right. And God's just, He's being so patient and giving so many people second, third, and fourth chances to turn their lives around. And but this country, I just weep for it sometimes. Chris, don't you? I mean, you have to be blind not to see the deterioration that's happening everywhere.
Well, the deterioration is happening, James, but I do believe that as long as this remnant of believers are in this country, all is not lost. because
Yes,
as
amen
long
to
as we're
that.
praying, as long as we're here, we still have a say-so in what happens in this country and in this world. We just do. And we need to take our authority in that realm. I do want to ask you another question. It's good stuff right there. What is your take on this cartel brouhaha? Pete X's death has come under fire. I've never seen a group of people like the Democrat Party that are literally having sympathy for people that are bringing city-killing fentanyl-type drugs that could kill millions of people if it was released on the street. Meth, fentanyl, cocaine, you name the drug. These cartels have been shipping it. I've read so many commentators on the news side say that President Trump has been the first president ever to confront these cartels directly. Reagan's thing back in the 1980s, which I remember quite well, was basically, what was Nancy Reagan's famous saying they did, just don't do it, or say no. Say no to drugs.
Just say no.
Just say no, and that got us nowhere. Because you just can't say no to drugs. There's a spiritual component to it. There's bondage to it. But Trump is taking it to the source and making sure that these drugs don't get into our country. I salute him for that. And I'm just going to go on record tonight. I've got no sympathy for a boat driver that is bringing drugs into this nation. And we, as a nation, have a military action, and we take law enforcement action and blow that boat into kingdom come and make these people fish food. Look, I pray for their soul. Okay, I'm not rejoicing that they get killed, but you know something. The Dems are making this big deal about, well, this one guy was fleeing the boat for safety and we killed him again. We took the second shot. So what? So what? Am I supposed to shed tears that the guy was bringing, again, baby killing drugs, teen killing drugs, adult killing drugs into the country? So the first shot don't destroy his boat, so he's trying to find safety, so we don't have no right to kill him? That's baloney. I hate to tell folks, this is not, and then the most hypocritical stuff I'm hearing is that when people basically are saying, well, it's not Christian to do that. You all don't act like Christians when you're doing it. Well, please explain what is Christian about bringing drugs into a nation and destroying a nation with fentanyl. That can kill millions of people in a city. There's nothing Christian about that either. And look, the way I look at it, James, the Department of Defense has got a right to defend this country. President Trump is doing everything by the Constitution. And, I dare these Democrats, take him to court. You don't think he's doing it constitutionally? Take him to court. Let's find out whether he's got that right to do it, because I think he does. What's your thoughts on that? I know Chris sounds like an evil ogre tyrant saying that tonight, but Chris, don't blink an eye saying it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, friend. And I'm going to tell you something. As Paul said in Romans 13, they that execute the sword against evildoers do not execute the sword in vain. And we're not executing the sword in vain because these people are evildoers. What say you?
I say I agree with you completely. If there are drugs being brought into this country from Central and South America, I think this country has every right to blow them out of the water. That's what I think. And then you do have a really significant argument. Okay, you're going after the supply side of this formula. You need to go after the demand side too. There needs to be programs in this country that take a serious look at how we can address the exponentially growing demand for these drugs, even drugs that are laced with fentanyl and other things that are killing people. It's crazy, and it does have a spiritual component to it. But this country is just sort of moving downstream past the point where spiritual answers are sought after in the body politic, and massive use of drugs is certainly one of those areas.
Let me ask you this, and I'm glad you brought up the supply and the side of it, as well as the consumption side of it. The argument by many is that we need to be lenient on these drug dealers, and or we need to be lenient on these people and put them in rehab. And James, I'm not saying that people don't need rehab, but the way I look at it, I disagree with this idea that you can't jail your way out of this. I think that if we don't start giving stiff sentences to these people and put them in jail, this stuff continues. I'm not saying it's going to cure it, because the cure is spiritual. The cure is that these drug dealers need Jesus. But if they're going to persist in what they're doing, and we start patting them on the back and giving them light sentences, and we give them little pats on the hand, and we say, well, you have not done nothing that's worthy of jail, all you do is open the country up to a lawless spirit, which we're already there, honestly. We're already there. It is the most lawless society. I've never seen a lawless society take over this country like I've seen. And I'm not trying to be negative tonight, because I'm really, I don't know if there's a solution to it outside of God himself. Maybe this is what all this is about, is to drive us to our knees and drive us to him, because he's the only one that can solve this. And because our justice system sure ain't trying to solve it. Because these judges, they're worse than the drug dealers to me. They're absolutely worse than the drug dealers.
Just move over a little bit on that soapbox, because I'm right there with you on this one. It is a multifaceted problem, not the least of which is the judicial aspect of it. We have got to start holding people accountable for these acts that they're engaging in as a matter of greed that is killing the people and the young people of our country.
I've got to ask you a question. I have listened to commentator after commentator. I've listened to legal expert after legal expert. And this is maybe above my pay grade tonight, but I get this question asked, and I'm sure it's going to be asked tonight before I even open the house to questions. It's, what can we do about it? What can we do about these judges? And I have to tell you, I've listened to legal people, James, and I have not heard a solution yet as to what can be done to rein in this judiciary. I don't know if it rests with the DOJ. I think there's growing frustration in President Trump with Pam Bondi. I think the Department of Justice is letting these judges run all over them. I know that it takes time to appeal these cases, and I'm not trying to fast track anything and say that they can fix this overnight, because they can't. It seems like every time something goes to the Supreme Court lately, Trump wins at the Supreme Court, but what it does, it delays his agenda for months, sometimes weeks. I think this thing in New Jersey was a hideous travesty with James Comey, when they got Elena Haba to have her resign, and that judge threw the case out over a technicality. I think it was a hideous travesty of justice. What do you say to this? Because I don't know if there is legally, unless Congress is the one that controls these district judges, and waiting on Congress is like waiting on Santa Claus. I'll just leave it at that. I think people can understand. I don't want to say what I want to say because kids may be listening, but let me just say it, that Santa Claus, it's like waiting on the Easter Bunny, okay? Because it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream, correct?
Well, it took a long time to get here.
That's a great point.
For all of these ideas to infiltrate law schools, and we're seeing the result of all of that, a lack of integrity and a lack of quite honestly fairness. It's we were brought up in an age, when you watch Perry Mason on TV and sort of the right result always prevailed. But now so much of justice is no longer a part of the judicial system. It is a matter of what attorneys you can afford. It's a matter of what courts you can hand pick. that'll be sympathetic to your narrative, and it just shouldn't be that way. But turning it around is a long-term solution, and I am not sure the trend lines
are going to go
in
that
favor of a long-term solution, which would provide relief at the ballot box to replace some of these, just ultra-liberal judges that are no longer bound. And we're going to see especially if the Democratic Party remains leaning as far left as it leans, you're going to have major calls if there's an election swing in Congress and the executive. You're going to see major calls for even trending away from the founding fathers' interpretation of the Constitution, or that legal precedent needs to control in judicial decisions. There's going to be a move away from that. The farther left you go, the farther away from those sort of traditional values that you're going to go. And we have mentioned on this show before, one of the really question marks that is out there is whether the Trump phenomenon can endure past Donald Trump's second term in office. If we cannot start instituting meaningful changes in the judiciary and the other branches of government, now over the next 2 years, then the prospects for us being able to do it long term, I'm not all that optimistic about.
Yeah. Buddy, we're running out of time. I want to get a couple of quick fire things to you. Did the Republicans hold the House and Senate next year? Real quick.
I don't see any. I do not see any way in my crystal ball that they do, or if there is a majority, it's sort of paper thin now. I think it's going to be even thinner.
Okay,
and that's just my projection. I do not see the trend lines. And you have the historical trend lines. A president's party traditionally in the off-season election or in the off-term elections, does not fare well. And we're starting to see sort of polls that show that now, that, there's going to be sort of a reaction to Trump and what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include this just, in my mind, the senseless wave of just anti-Trump, any reasonable piece of legislation or thing that Trump tries to do in the administration just now is vehemently opposed just because people hate Trump so much.
Yeah. I got to ask this because Jasmine Crockett has announced she's going to run for Senate next year, looks like, in Texas. Do you think she has a prayer below where it's very hot that she wins that? Or is Texas gone so blue that it's what's your thoughts on that?
I would like to think she doesn't have a chance in the world. That's what I would like to think.
I would like to think that too, James, but these days I don't know, man. I'm telling you something. I'm that's what concerns me with our country tonight. And it really concerns me that we've reached this place that people like Jasmine Crockett are even taken seriously, but she is by the media. And I got so much more to talk about. Maybe Friday night, Lord willing, maybe get you back on because I want to talk about this fraud up in Minnesota. But next week, when we get back to normal, we'll deal with the Tim Walz situation in Minnesota and all these fraudsters and all. and all. But listen, man, I want to give you a final word here. We're going to get on with the show and get some questions. And it's good to see you tonight. And any final thoughts? And I'll let you wrap us up, man. Good to see you tonight, as always.
Well, it's always good talking to you and your audience. And again, the Lord I believe in is in control, and He's not shaking on His throne with any of this stuff. But we still have a responsibility as believers to stand for what's right and believe what's right. And so, that's my going out line.
Okay. Well, that's a good going out line, buddy. Listen, I hope to see you this week, Lord willing, as we talk before the show. And may the Lord bless you tonight. And I will see you back here. If not this Friday, next week, we'll get you back on and get back to normal on our news side. But it's so great to have you tonight. Always a pleasure. Good stuff tonight. And God bless you and your family up there on this cold December night, man. Bundle up.
That's right. And everyone, don't forget the reason for the season.
Amen. Well, we'll have you back on before Christmas for sure. Listen, God bless you, buddy. Have a good night, James. Take care, my friend.
Okay.
James Akers,
Thanks,
everybody.
Chris, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Always, friend. James Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. We are so grateful to have him tonight, as we always are. And we're going to, I want to just go over a couple of stories on Breitbart and Gateway Pundit before we get to your question tonight. And I got a video or two I want to play, not too much tonight. We had a computer crash, for those of you that were listening to us on the Face side last week, right in the middle of our show. We had a computer crash, and it sort of put us behind, so we were able to get the screen up at least tonight to look like it did. But a lot of our files from other previous shows are gone, and we're trying to recover them. But I do want to go to the Newswire Breitbart and just go over a few stories with you. This is what was on the Breitbart's website tonight. I'm going to get my glasses on so I can see what I'm saying. And you can see one of the Trump DHS has launched a public database of the worst illegal aliens. And this is actually done by ICE. And this is an article. This is all on our Telegram room, by the way. We encourage you to join us at the McFiles, it's Patriot News now, and also the McFiles Faith and News Network on Telegram. You can find us. But this website basically displays all those that are on a database that have committed violent crimes, that are running around in the nation without any kind of arrest, and they're looking for them. And some of these people have been arrested, but some of these crimes are just hideous. A lot of them involve children. A lot of them involve rape, assault, murder, definitely theft. But it is absolutely unreal what is crazy. If you look over to the right, some of these headlines. President Trump rejects the Somali migrants who marry their siblings, and there's one that did. Ilhan Omar. Jasmine Crockett has filed for paperwork to run for the U.S. Senate. Susie Wiles says that Trump will campaign for midterms like it's 2024 again. Justice Jackson, that's Joe Biden's DEI pick. Presidents should not be able to fire government experts. I disagree, Ms. Jackson. They should be. Mandami picks a convicted armed robber. Did you hear about that? You folks in New York, your guy that's going to be leading public safety is a convicted armed robber. And I'm sure that makes you all warm and safe tonight. This story here we're going to be following Friday night as we get into Christmas. This is a very important story. President Trump, and I'm going to come on the camera here because I feel it's more comfortable me talking to you on the camera than it is without the camera. President Trump has given Zelensky to Christmas to either accept the peace deal with Russia or the United States may very well back out. I'm not happy, to be honest with you, with the deal. I think there are some aspects of it that give Russia a greater edge, but I think Trump's his zeal to get a end to this bloodshed. He's willing to lean on one side over the other. I don't trust either side. Don't trust Ukraine. Don't trust Russia. This man right here is as corrupt as anything Vladimir Putin can be. They're neither shining examples. They're not Ward Cleaver, I can tell you that. But you got a war that's been needlessly going on for almost 4 years now. Multiple millions of people have died on both sides. And it needs to come to an end. And President Trump has basically told Zelensky that, he has got till Christmas to accept the deal, or the United States will, I don't know what we're going to do, but we will back out of this process. We're trying to get him to peace, trying to get him to the peace table. It's an interesting story here. This is so rich coming from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was on CNN attacking Trump today, saying that Trump is so constantly hateful. Roll the tape.
Representatives, Congressman, thanks very much for coming in. Lots going on. This is Pamela Brown, not Pamela Green. Just want to make that clear.
And she has a beautiful name.
She has a beautiful name.
Thank you. I'm proud of my last name. That's right.
And your name is Green, not Brown.
That's right.
I want to be precise. In addition to what we just heard there, President Trump posted yesterday that you are, quote, and I'm quoting him now, not America first or MAGA, and your, quote, new views are those of a very dumb person. That's the President of the United States speaking about you. What's your response to these latest attacks?
Well, actually, Wolf, I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name-calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight.
Well, I'll leave it at that. I don't have to listen to any more of that. That is the pot calling the kettle black. If you've ever listened to a Marjorie Taylor Greene video, there's so much profanity in it, you have to bleep out about every other word. But that's what happens to you when you turn anti-Semitic, and we're going to deal with that Friday night. I'm telling you, folks, this spirit of anti-Semitism, it breeds other spirits, and it's just amazing that she wants to say Trump is hateful when I've heard nothing but hatefulness coming from her, but that is just the way that traitors do. I don't want to deal with this story. Kamala Harris says there will be a marble bust of me. I'm a historic figure. Yes, she's a historic figure. Very sad story here. I don't know if you heard about this, but a Grammy-winning musician, Roderick McLeod, was killed by a driver this week that had more than 100 arrests. It was one of the things I wanted to talk with James about. Folks, what is maddening, what we have seen over and over, and I saw some last week, a lot of these crimes that are being committed. We've had 2 people set on fire on trains, one in Charlotte, one in Chicago. The people that did those crimes have been multiply arrested, let go. Killings, murders, rapes, these illegal aliens that are raping these kids. I've seen so many kids under the age of 18, 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, babies, girls, boys, raped by illegal aliens. And most of these aliens have rap sheets a mile long. And nothing seems to stop this flow of lawlessness, and it's coming from that bench. It's coming from the judicial bench. These people are being let go. Well, this lady, you can see her right there in the picture, was let go more than 100 times, evidently, had been arrested 100 times, and Saturday morning, she was driving and killed Grammy Award-winning Rhode Island musician Roderick McLeod by a driver with a lengthy criminal history, which included 82 warrants and more than 100 arrests. It's unreal. It's unreal. So those are some of the stories on Breitbart that you can find, and we've got some of those. Here is the story I was telling James about tonight, and the Democrats have flipped Miami's mayor's office tonight. That's not a good sign for you down in South Florida tonight. Eileen Higgins is the new mayor. She's a Democrat, a very liberal Democrat. And she's a former county commissioner. She defeated the Republican Emilio Gonzalez in Tuesday's Miami's mayoral runoff. That was earlier today. The election was technically nonpartisan. The ballot box face-off became the latest showdown this year between Democrats and Republicans, with both parties pouring in resources and the race grabbing plenty of national attention. President Trump endorsed Gonzalez this past week and took to social media to emphasize that Miami's mayoral election is a big and important race. It didn't help. It didn't help. Thank God our special election last Tuesday night, while we were doing our camp meeting services, went to the Republican, and this crazy loon from Nashville, good Lord, she made Ilhan Omar look like Ronald Reagan. Her and AOC, I mean, we came this close, and that race should not have been that close. Van Zandt should have walked away with that race 60-40, 70-30, and it was within 3 or 4 points. And there was a point last Tuesday night, Jesse Waters was on air at 8 o'clock, and she was up like 56-42. And there was like 44% of the district reporting. And, of course, thank God the rural areas had not come in, and those rural votes brought the Republican the victory. I want to just say this to the Republicans. You better get your act together. You better get your act together going into this next year. And we're not getting our act together. People are fed up. And, you know, Roger, your statement about the Democrats don't care nothing about the country. Well, you don't need to just throw the Democrats in there, brother. It's Republicans too. I know what Victor Davis Hanson says, but I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't just the Dems. It's the Republicans. They don't care about the country either. We got a feckless political system in our nation. We got a feckless judicial system in our nation. Look, the church has gone nuts. We're going to deal with some things that I've been hearing from Kirk Cameron's now out there claiming that you don't spend eternity in hell if you die and go to hell. Well, let me be a little pastoral tonight, and let me tell you something. When you go off into eternity, there's no pass and go. There's no collecting $200. There's no reprieve. Jesus himself said it. He said that the fire will not be quenched, the worm will not die. That speaks of the eternal nature of the afterlife. And it makes me sick to watch all these so-called theologians on X trying to debate him and trying to go back and forth like a ping pong match. The Bible is not a debate forum, and these things are not a debate. You either believe them or you don't. You know, that's the way I look at it. But I'm going to say this. I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I look at Candace Owens. I look at Tucker Carlson. I look at Kirk Cameron. And I look at a lot of other anti-Semitic voices in the same manner. If you notice this, when they all started turning on Israel and all started throwing shade and hateful rhetoric to Israel, they started going off doctrinally. They started going off into crazy, crazy other things. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a completely different person than she was a year ago. But it started when she started attacking Israel and going on shows to attack Israel. Now, I want to just show you a few things. I'm going to take your questions here. It's just 10:30, so we're in good shape here tonight. It's 10:30, and I want to just show a couple of things. Insurrection, Barbie, she got a great... she posted this, and I want to talk about this a little bit. She says, 3 reasons why young U.S. evangelicals are turning against Israel, by Aaron David Frew. And he's right on the target here. Number 1, Bible illiteracy. Bible illiteracy. Bible illiteracy. People don't know their Bibles. And people that claim they know their Bibles, the YouTube theologians out there, are not theologians, but they are YouTube hacks. They are biblical hacks. They are biblically ignorant. And Bible illiteracy in the pew is basically part of the reason why the Bible illiteracy in the pulpit is embraced and clapped and accepted. That's why we have a Bible class every morning on the faith side of this network. And we have Bible studies to make sure that you that seek not to be Bible illiterate can come in and listen to God's Word and not be Bible illiterate, so that you won't do exactly what Mr. Frew says the young evangelicals. I would say this, it ain't just the young U.S. evangelicals, it's all the evangelicals. There's some older ones too. Number two is woke ideology that has seeped into the church. Woke ideology. The church has gone woke. The church don't even embrace Christianity anymore. The church don't even know what Christianity is anymore. Don't even know how to define it. Don't know how to define biblical values. And people's theology and people's ideology has gone so far off base that to correct it, to bring it back to the place it needs to be, you sound like a hateful idiot. You sound like a hateful hate monger. Been called that often. Why do you scream so much, McDonald? Why are you so angry at people? Why are you so... I'm not angry at anybody, neighbor. But what I have to do sometimes, I have to yank a knot into some folks, try to at least yank some knots into the church. And I can't do that. I'm not the church's judge. I don't do it as the church's judge. But I do it as a pastoral voice, as a friend to people, to try to get them to see this woke ideology is carrying them away into error. And we've gone so far off the tracks that you have to yank it back so hard that sometimes you come across as being hard. You come across as being a little passionate, a little loud. And you have to. You almost have to. It's like a child. It's like talking to fifth graders. And I don't mean that disrespectfully tonight, folks. It's the truth. But this third thing is going to destroy this country. And that's this progressive Christianity. It goes beyond Israel, folks, but progressive Christianity is sending folks to a devil's hell. Mark it down. It's sending people to a devil's hell. There is no such thing as progressive Christianity. There is no such thing in the Bible as such. There's no such thing as that we need to adapt to the times because the world has changed, so the church needs to change. No, it don't. No, it don't. The same gospel that got those apostles through, the same gospels that got Peter, James, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John through, Peter, Paul, the people of Acts, all the individuals of history that have gotten the church through to the kingdom of God and got the church to heaven. The same message that Paul preached 2,000 years ago is the same message the church needs to be preaching tonight. It don't need tinkering with, don't need changing, don't need added to, don't need to be taken away from, don't need to be twisted, don't need to be made to fit some agenda, don't need to be made to get likes and shares. It doesn't need to be changed one iota. Now, if you don't like the gospel the way that it was written, then I tell you what you do. You go find another gospel that appeals to you, and all I can tell you is I'm going to be on my knees praying for your soul. I don't know how to say that any clearer. I've come back from the break last week. The Lord really, 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 really lit a fire under your host. And we got nothing to lose at this point. We're going to let it all hang out on these McFiles shows about eternity and your soul and your faith. This is a faith network. This is a faith network first and a news network second. I'm more concerned about your soul than I am the headlines. I'm more concerned about people's state with God than I am the headlines. I'm more concerned about America spiritually than I ever am America politically. I'm more concerned about your soul spiritually tonight. I'm more concerned that you know Jesus than whether you know Trump. I'm more concerned that you know Jesus tonight than whether you know the ins and outs of the political structure of America. Because I'm going to tell you something, the political structure of America is crumbling before our eyes, but the firm foundation of the rock and the foundational truth of God's word will never go away. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will not pass away. That's a promise of Jesus Christ tonight. We're a faith network. We've always been a faith network. There have been times that we probably have not shown that as much as we should have, and that's to our shame, and we've had to repent for it. But I tell you what, going into 26, there's going to be a noticeable change in the Ponderosa. It's already happening. But I'm going to tell you, those three things right there is destroying this country. It's not just destroying the church. It's not just young evangelicals. It's destroying the entire nation. And it's really destroying the world right now. It's destroying the world. But that top one is most important when it comes to you and me. If we're Bible illiterate, then we're going to be carried away with every wind of doctrine. We're going to be carried away to every wind of doctrine. You've not heard about this, but I want to share it with you tonight. It's a young man. It's a pastor in Pakistan. We had a good talk with my son, John Muazzam, Sunday after church, and our prayers for the people of Pakistan. But you didn't hear about this man. You won't hear about him in the media. But Pastor Kaman Michael was shot and killed Friday morning at Gurla Jamala While dropping his daughter off at school, the attacker walked up from behind, firing multiple shots. His child witnessed everything. Pastor, come on, had survived a perilous attack for his faith and continued to courageously serve his church. Pastor Cameron gave his life for his faith in Christ. He prayed for his family, his church, and well as the Christians of Pakistan. You need to pray for the Christians of Sudan. You need to pray for the Christians of Nigeria. You need to pray for the Christians in America. You need to pray for the Christians in India. You need to pray for the Christians in Africa, folks. Somalia, Nigeria, Liberia. I could name them all. The Congo, Uganda, Kenya. Most of Africa is under Islamic attack tonight. It is under Islamic attack. These attacks and these killings are going to increase. There's been a genocide in the world that has not been addressed, and it better be addressed soon. A couple of other things. This is an interesting story. This is Jesse Walters the other night. This is about a 5-minute clip, and I'm going to play some of this. But I know many of you remember George Floyd, the George Floyd shootings in Minneapolis back in the summer of 2020. What it did, and this police officer, I thought this was the biggest travesty of justice, honestly, up to that point I'd ever seen. He did not deserve prison, and he's filing an appeal now to get a new trial. Derek Chauvin. This is Jesse's take on it. Roll the tape, and I'm going to get yours in a minute.
Shocking new details in the attempted murder of America's most high-profile inmate. Last Friday, Derek Chauvin was shivved 22 times in the library by another inmate. And now we know who the other inmate was. His name is John Turskak. He's 52, and he's already served 27 years of his 30-year sentence. And with 3 years left until freedom, apparently decided, I'm going to murder somebody. Turskak is also a member of the Mexican Mafia. And are you ready? An FBI informant. The complaint says Turskak at first denied wanting to kill Chauvin. And then the complaint says the Mexican Mafia guy waived his Miranda rights when the FBI agent showed up to interview him. First of all, why is the FBI conducting the interview? The FBI only shows up to prison murders as if someone's ordered a hit or if the perp or the victim was still informing.
That's right.
Or all of the above. And why does a guy who knows the criminal justice system waive his Miranda rights? And wait until you hear what the FBI says he confessed to. It's just too perfect. The FBI claims that the Mexican Mafia guy wanted to murder Chauvin on Black Friday to symbolically avenge Black Lives Matter. So let me get this straight. The Mexican Mafia member who poisoned blacks his whole career with drugs and who was incarcerated during the Black Lives Matter movement is a social justice warrior. And anybody who knows anything about prison knows the Mexicans stay with the Mexicans, the blacks stay with the blacks, and the whites stay with the whites. Mexican inmates don't just start murdering white inmates to show solidarity with black inmates. Maybe. But here's what's mysterious. Turskak is listed as white, and the origin of his name is Croatian. Now, how many Croatians do you know in the Mexican Mafia? I didn't know the Mexican Mafia was so diverse. So this woke Croatian Mexican mobster FBI informant has been suddenly moved to a new federal prison. For whose protection exactly? We're not sure. And Turskak's history with the FBI is fascinating. He flipped on the Mexican mob back in the late 90s and helped the FBI lock up more than 40 of his fellow gangsters. He admitted to carrying out a number of crimes while working as an undercover FBI informant.
And we're going to stop it right there because I've got other fish to fry tonight. But the bottom line is that they're wanting Derek Chauvin dead. And Chauvin was, again, the one I feel like that was wrongfully accused of killing George Floyd. There are so many conflicting stories about what happened that day. Makes you wonder why they want him dead. It makes you wonder why they're targeting him at this late game. He's been in prison for 5 years now. And I just pray that justice is done. If of all these pardons that President Trump is giving out, I pray he gets one, and I pray Tina Peters gets one. I do. We're going to cover this story. This is a developing story, and I will cover that. I got to show you something, folks, that's very disturbing. This is a high school in Virginia. These kids, I don't have to tell you what that's a symbol of. That's a Nazi symbol. But they laid down in the middle of the football field, took a picture, took a selfie. That's a Nazi symbol. And they did it to basically slur the Jews. Slur the Jews. And I want to say those are football players. I don't have the name of the high school, but it was in Virginia where this happened. Again, this is not happening overseas in some third world country. This is happening in the United States of America. This is our young people. Those are not evangelicals, by the way. They're not doing that because of Bible literacy. They're doing that because mom and daddy didn't beat their tails when they were young and told them that this kind of behavior is unacceptable, young man. That we don't do stuff like this. We don't do stuff like this. By the way, a little joke, and no offense to you Minnesotians up there, but we understand there's rumors that the Minnesota Vikings are going to be changing their names, their new football team. I know Jason Miller may be out there, and he's probably laughing his head off tonight. Somali Pirates is what they're going to be naming their new football team, because that's what Minnesota is turning into. And we're going to deal with Candace and Tucker. I will say this Friday night, but I want to look at this. Tucker Carlson, this is no joke. Tucker was named the Anti-Semite of the Year. Nominated, at least. He's been nominated for that. His name has appeared this week on a list no public figure seeks out. Stop Anti-Semitism. A watchdog organization with more than 300,000 followers on X included him among its finalists for Anti-Semite of the Year. Stu Peters is on there. Tucker's on there. Hodge Twins is on there. Some other names that you probably can. Candace Owens is on there too. And we'll see who wins that. But that is happening in our country. One other thing, and Jason Miller sent me this, and I appreciate this. We're going to talk about this Friday night. We're going to talk about a lot of things Friday night. We'll get back with you on the news side, and we'll be back here on the face side tomorrow night. On Wednesday night, our Bible studies that go on all week. But Israel was reborn May 14th, 1948. You realize that is 77 years, 7 months, 7 days. That will take place on December the 21st of 2025, which is, by the way, the 7th day of Hanukkah. A week from Sunday, this coming Sunday, will start the Feast of Dedication, which deals with the cleaning out of the temple. And isn't that amazing? Look at that number, 77777 on December the 21st. 2025. As Miller always says to me, McDonald, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. And you can't. And you can't. Let me just say this. That's not by happenstance. That's not by happenstance. Those numbers just don't fall out of heaven. Give us a little idea of how God feels about Israel. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that tonight. All righty, I'm done. You got some questions, Elaine? Your point is well taken. We need to pray for Christians worldwide. And Elaine, he should have been separated from all the inmates. I think they want him dead. I do. Elaine Willard, good to see you tonight. I think they want him dead, and I don't know why, other than they do not want there to be any hope that he gets out and tells the truth about what happened. There's that whole case stunk to high heaven. And he was convicted under the Joe Biden Department of Justice because they were scared to death that if he would have got acquitted, you would have had another Rodney King top ride in Minneapolis. They were already having them. It's what the summer of discontent, the summer of Antifa, the summer of love, as they called it, the summer of unrest, summer of chaos, whatever you call it. You had Antifa, Black Lives Matter, St. Louis, Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C. We had all these protests going on all over the country. It was terrible. It's terrible. It's sickening. It is sickening, and you're absolutely right. They should be protecting them better. And I lay that at Bondi. I lay that on Bondi's watch. and the Department of Justice to watch. They could do better. Trump needs to pardon him. I don't know why he don't, but he needs to pardon him, and he needs to pardon Tina Peters. But good point, my friend. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you tonight. Dennis says, I recall a book that David Wilkerson wrote before he died. He prophesied that 26 would be a most horrific year. Dennis, I don't know what book you're talking about. I don't think he ever put dates on anything. I would need to know the book. He wrote several books. One's called The Vision. One's called Set a Trumpet to Thy Mouth. And that was books that he wrote way before he died. He did say that America was going to be in for some troublesome things, and he saw judgment coming to this land. I think that it's not good to put dates on it. I don't know if it'll be 26. What my thoughts are is we as a nation, we need to come back to God, and we need to come back to God pretty quick. But it starts with the church. If you've got woke ideology and Bible illiteracy and progressive Christianity running the show in a nation, what do you expect? What do you expect? Church is the barometer. We are the barometer of this nation. And that ain't saying a lot right now. It's not saying a lot. I know David Wilkerson, his son, has actually taken over the ministry since he's passed. And Times Square Church is still going strong up there. If you've ever read The Cross and the Switchblade, one of the best stories of conversion, Nicky Cruz was saved by the blood of Jesus and turned out to be one of the world's greatest evangelists. And he still ministers in New York to gang members to this day. Dennis, I'm not discounting the book. I know I've read his books, and they are very riveting, and there's a lot of judgment predicted, but my caution is dates are not, it's not wise to put dates on anything like that. So I don't know if it's 26. We just don't know when the timing is. I think it's suffice it to say things are getting real, and they're getting real quick, and we're in the end times, and every day that ticks by, we're getting closer to the coming of the Lord. That's how I would answer that. Anyway, I will read The Vision, but I don't remember him putting a date in that. Chris Davis says justice is being thrown out in the streets and truth means nothing. That's what's going on, Chris. It's that, but it's also deeper than that. But you're right. Both things are happening. Both things are happening. Anything else, folks? If you've got any questions, any of you folks over in YouTube tonight, good to see everybody. And if you've got something to say, I don't have any questions in YouTube tonight. I thought I had a statement or two. Anybody in YouTube want to chime in tonight? You got time here. You got about 5 minutes. We're going to wrap it up. We're right at 5 till 10 or 5 till 11. If you enjoyed the show tonight, say amen. All the folks in Facebook are talking, but nobody's talking over in YouTube tonight. The Vision is a good book, Dennis, but again, I would be very cautious of date setting. Chris says Margie Taylor Greene is a sellout. Wonder what she sold her soul for. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. And Jenny, you're right. The fact she went on CNN to do that speaks a lot for herself. Roger, going back to your statement about Victor Davis Hanson, the Democrats have given up on America, and they're doing everything to undermine the country. There's plenty of Republicans that are doing it too, Victor. And Victor, I hate to say it, Roger, it's good to see you tonight. There's a lot of pastors that are undermining the country. There's a lot of spiritual voices that are doing it too. There's a racial divide in the church as well as a racial divide in the country. There's a racial split, and it goes beyond black and white. It's not even black and white. There is I don't know how to describe it. There is a schism in the church that is deeper than the color of your skin. There's a lot of black pastors that have went totally left, totally liberal. There's a lot of white pastors that have went totally liberal. Maybe it's liberal conservative. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Christian, non-Christian, professing, possessing. But again, the schism in the nation is only a mirror of what's going on in God's body, if that makes sense. I don't think you could put the sellout and undermining on one group. I think it's all above. It's all above. We're just a small voice here. We're doing our best to do what we can do every night, but we're just a small voice, and we're in a small pond, but we're a voice in the wilderness, and we're doing what we can to speak truth. That's all we can do. Whether people accept it or not, whether people want to listen to us or not, that's up to them. That's entirely up to them. But I know this much. We're dedicated. That's what we're dedicated to, and we try to do our best every day to do it, and every night we're on the show, whether it's faith or news, buddy. Good to see you tonight. Really is. It really is. Good to see Connie Sutton in the house tonight. Good to see you. Natalie Taylor, good to see you. And Joan, good to see you tonight. Connie, so good to see you, friend. It's been a while. Renee says, one student killed, one injured in North Forsyth High in North Carolina today. I heard about that, Renee. Our prayers for that school, and that was on Gateway Pundit. I'll go back to the Newswire. I'm glad you brought that up, because we had the Gateway Pundit website up as well, and it was down further in the headline here, and you're right. And let me see if I can find that story there. Very sad situation, folks. These school shootings. By the way, there was a plane crash tonight in Florida. Did you hear about this? One plane landed on top of a car and the highway after engine failure. And there's the story. Trump warns Zelensky he has until Christmas to accept the peace deal. And so much corruption in that situation. So much corruption. There's the story we told you about the drunk driver. There it is right there. If it's this, Renee, the one you're talking about, or North Carolina too, because there was one dead and one injured in a shooting at Kentucky State as well. And that's increasing all these school shootings. By the way, I've not talked about this story right here. We're going to deal with this Friday night. Y'all heard about Jake Tapper, the pipe bomb suspect, the one that detonated the pipe bomb January the 6th, Brian Cole, had a strange online obsession with My Little Pony. Take a good look at Brian Cole. Now, folks, what I'm about to say is not meant to sound racial. It's not to sound racially charged. It's not to draw attention to his skin. I didn't do this. Jake Tapper did, of CNN. Jake Tapper spent all weekend, calling Brian Cole a white guy. A white guy did this. And he never showed his picture on air. I don't know what it is about the media that I guess they don't think that there's other news outlets out there that's got a picture of the suspect. I'm just an old South Georgia boy. But Brian Cole ain't white. Brian Cole ain't white. But that's what the media says. Looks like he's got a fascination with unicorns. I don't care what color he is. He's a criminal. And he needs to go to jail. He needs to go to jail. But anyway, I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that one alone. Carol Smith, good to see you. She said, it's sad we have to enact laws against Sharia law. DeSantis did that. Yes, he did. He did. He sure did. Good to see you too, Mark Kaysen. Grateful for you. Grateful for you. We're grateful for you. And may the Lord bless you tonight. We really are grateful to see you, buddy. It's Carol, you're right. It is sad. It's terribly sad that we have to enact laws in our own nation against Sharia law. That is perfectly sad. Carol, if you think about it, it's sad. It's sad that we've got to go to the Supreme Court to get the courts to keep criminals behind bars and to stopping and act like they're the president of the United States. All of this stuff, it's sad tonight. The whole country is in a sad state. It's sad that you've got these voices saying the things they do and doing the things they do. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's good to see you tonight, my friend. Always a pleasure. Mark Kaysen, good to see you, buddy. I think I've already said that. Blessings to you, Roger. Blessings to you, Gail, Tim, Natalie. Put some fire in that house. Good to see everybody. Dennis, I'm going to check that book, The Vision, out again. I don't think he put a date on that. I'll double check that. But I will tell you this. It's not good to put dates on things. It's just not. There were times in the Old Covenant that God gave specific times for things. I think we better be very careful on how we do that in this time. I'm not saying what David will. That book, The Vision, is a riveting book, and I'd encourage every Christian to read it because it has a lot of stuff that's not good for this country that he predicts it's coming, and a lot of it's taken out of our headlines right now. Carol, something you said about this lawlessness in Sharia, he predicts that the country would fall to a foreign power. Folks, we're falling to a foreign power tonight. It's just not an invasion from the outside. It's an invasion from the inside. And that's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what's happening. Sad. All righty. Listen, I've had a wonderful time with you tonight. I want to thank James Akers for being with us. And we've been going an hour 28. So we're out of here. Thank you all for being with us. I hope you enjoyed the show on this Tuesday night. Now, it's all faith tomorrow night. Bible study in the morning. We'll be back with a Wednesday night faith service tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We're going to probably talk Revelation tomorrow night. We'll be back on the rapture of the church if you'd like to so join us. And then we'll be off Thursday. We'll be in the morning, but we won't be here Thursday night. We will be here Friday night, late. It'll be a late show Friday. We got a lot to talk about Israel. We're going to play some video, and we're going to see who wins the anti-Semite of the year. I swear. Where's Miller when I need him? Where's Miller? Where's Miller when I need him? You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. I want to say that. I'm going to put that thing about Israel back up again. It's pretty intriguing. This is going to happen December the 21st, which is a week from Sunday. And Hanukkah starts this Sunday, the 14th. But Israel was reborn on May the 14th, 1948. And on December the 21st, that will be 77 years, 7 months, so that's 3 sevens, 7 days, on the 7th day of Hanukkah. 7, 7, 7, 7. You think December 21st is a prophetic day? I'd say it is. I'd say it is. I love you much tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show, and may the Lord bless you. And folks, I'm going to echo something that James Akers said. Please honor the season this year with love and courtesy to each other. I cannot stress enough to you the need that we need to love each other and care for each other. And don't be a bah humbug this Christmas season. Don't be a buddy-duddy, a Scrooge. Be generous. Be loving, kind to each other. Share what you have. You may not have a lot to give, but whatever you do, give what you have to people. Help those in need this year. Help those that need a helping hand. There's so many people depressed during these holidays. They're hurting. They're lonely. It's one of the saddest times. It should be one of the happiest times that we celebrate because of the Lord's birth. He came during this season. This is why we celebrate it. It's His birth. It should be the happiest time of the world, but it's not. It seems to be the saddest for most. And be a lover and somebody that cares and loves people out there instead of a Scrooge. Please do that and honor Christ in doing it. And I'm going to say this about the Pearl Harbor situation. We don't need to forget what happened 84 years ago this past Sunday, because I believe that the seeds for another Pearl Harbor have been planted in another 9/11. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's a matter of when. And I hope that this generation, whatever generation is on this earth at the time, if the Lord tarries any length of time and McDonald's in the grave, I pray this generation that's ahead of us is going to have this willpower to withstand what's coming, or this nation will not exist. It will cease to exist. And that's sad to think about. Because I love my country. And I love the Lord. And I love you all tonight. I hope you have a great Tuesday night. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's good to be back with you. We'll be back. We hadn't gone nowhere. Things just going to be sort of changing. Headed to Israel, January the 5th. By the way, October the 19th through the 26th next year, we've got a trip planned for you folks, the McFiles. We're going back in October with Pastor Eli Hendricks, and he's looking forward to taking the McFiles crew. If you would like to go to Israel with us in the fall, McFilesPrayers@gmail.com or McFilesForum@gmail.com. Put Israel in that subject line. We'd love to have you. May the Lord bless you tonight. Hope you take care of yourself out there. And you know, I'm just in a Christmas mood. You know, I have not done this in forever. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go out with a Christmas song. And, you know, let me see if I can find my Christmas. There it is right there. There's my Christmas. Is the computer going to freeze on me? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Let's see. I figured something like this would happen tonight. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Let me see if we can find a good old song to sort of, there it is right here. It is the most wonderful time of the year from our It's December Time CD. You can find all that on McDonald Music. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We're grateful to have you tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow in the faith. Have a good night, everybody.
Time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings with friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. For hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time of the It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. Dolls that talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. Beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.